Welcome to Black Perspectives with Lady T. I'm your host, Lady T. Thank you for joining me today. I have a very special guest. I have with me today the first African American mayor of Hanover Borough, Pennsylvania, Myneca Ojo. She will talk about her journey to becoming mayor, her aspirations and hope for Hanover Borough. She will also talk about her experience on the golf course. Yes, golfing while black. As you remember, she is one of the 5 sisters on the fairway who were allegedly discriminated against because of their gender and their race. She will talk about that experience with us today. So thank you for tuning in and enjoy. Welcome to Black Perspectives with Lady T. That's me. Here where your words will attract a strong mind or offend a weak one. I am so glad to be with you today on my first episode of season 2. I can't even believe that time has gone so fast. And as my special guest, I have here in my studio the mayor of Hanover, Myneca Ojo.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. Some of you may know Myneca as one of the sisters of the fairways, and she was the one that captured the infamous video that was literally seen around the world with the discrimination allegations on the golf course. However, we want to know more about Miss Ojo. I want to introduce you all to her and welcome again to our studio. I was just so glad that you accepted our invitation to be our guest, our very first guest on season 2.
Right.
And for those of our viewers that do not know you, give us a little bit of your background. I want to know, where are you from? And I'd never known of you before until that infamous video popped up.
Right.
But we want to know more about you and your journey and how you became mayor.
Oh, okay, then. Well, first of all, thank you, Tanya, for the opportunity to be a part of your show and be on the first episode. I've been an ardent fan of Black Perspectives. I've followed every single show on Facebook, so it's really wonderful. So thank you for the opportunity. Well, first of all, the journey to mayor was probably really, really fast. We had our mayor quit. And it just happened to have been in the paper that they were looking for a mayor, and I called and inquired about the opportunity to do the job and put in a packet for it. Was interviewed by the council, told the day prior to the council meeting that they were going to make a selection and do the voting there at the council meeting, and be prepared at that moment to hear the count. And then once you hear the count, come up and get sworn in and take your seat as mayor.
Oh my gosh.
So it happened in a very short amount of time. The mayor had quit, and when the mayor quits or resigns, he has, the council has 30 days to make a selection. Yes, so they made the selection really fast. So it was really a period of about 3 weeks. And so from the time that I put the packet in to the time that I interviewed to the time the next council meeting, that's how I became mayor of this fabulous city that I get to, or this fabulous borough that I get to represent.
Right, that is awesome. And how big is the population, or how small is Hanover Borough?
Okay, Hanover Borough, actually, the Hanover area is about 40,000 combined. If you include Penn Township and West Manheim, I am the mayor of the borough, and the borough is like the nucleus. It's in the center of all of that, and it's nearly 16,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
it's a pretty compact area. We have lots of industry that's there, and we have a school system that's there, and shopping, tremendous retail shopping in the area too. So it's an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing place to stay. Yeah.
Wow, I definitely want to know more about Hanover and some of your ideas and plans. How did you get to Hanover? And for those viewers that are not local to this area, we are referring to Hanover, Pennsylvania. And but you are not from Hanover.
No.
You are from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, and I left there really early. I'm born and raised in Tulsa. And I left Tulsa in 1983, moved to Austin, Texas when I got married, and no longer married, and decided
She's
after
single,
a while,
you guys.
and stayed single. And in 2001, decided that, I had a tremendous run in Austin, Texas, but I'm nearing a certain age, and it's an opportunity for me to grow a little bit more, and so I moved to Washington, D.C. I was doing my own consultant business at the time, and I had a friend that lived in the Washington, D.C. area, so I said, well, let me move up here. I've made some contacts in the area nationally, and let me see what I can do here. And it's been an amazing move, just moving to the East Coast. And I eventually ended up in Baltimore, working with the Maryland Department of Transportation. And so while I was working with the Maryland Department of Transportation, I began to look for housing, and like many people in the area that have they have moved to Hanover, you look here for affordable housing.
Right.
I initially looked in the York area, but Hanover kind of caught me, so it was the first house that I saw. It was the first house that I got. So
wow, and that's been since what year did you move to Hanover?
I moved to Hanover in 2010.
2010.
Yes.
You know, that really kind of falls in line with the I wouldn't say a mass exodus from Baltimore to York,
Right.
But there was a huge influx of people that saw the opportunity here in York, particularly southern York County, and began to move to York and still work in Baltimore.
Absolutely.
Right, because the housing is much more affordable per se, to buy a home than it is in the Maryland area.
Yes, and then over time you want a certain quality of life and a certain way of living. And so I felt that Hanover at the time had exactly what I was looking for. I wanted to have a nice area that I can come home and just relax and, have a good living. I had 2 dogs at the time, and I had a fenced-in backyard, and, they were able to run free in the yard, and nice neighborhood to walk, nice neighborhood to live. And then I had the amenities because of the shopping that was nearby.
Right.
So it was really a nice place to retreat to after working really hard in the city. I love the city. I'm a city girl, but, I like a little country too.
Yep.
So, so I had a little bit of both where I was. So I was I live right near a bustling shopping area in the Hanover that's traveled by many people that live nearby, and so it's called like the Golden Mile. And so I have all the convenience of everything that I need just right there, and it's been a wonderful community.
That's awesome.
Yes,
that's awesome.
One I've grown to love. Yeah,
fantastic. Well, that was an impressive journey from Oklahoma to D.C. to Baltimore to Hanover, and now, as you explained, that you have been sworn in as mayor. What is that like?
Well, I hit the ground running. There's really no training. There's no one there that can really teach you what to do. And so it's been a tremendous journey. I've been really excited. The community is very excited about the appointment. This is something very new. And if you listen to those internally, it's a step forward. And I believe that the council was looking to move forward, and they had an opportunity to bring someone in that that came with a totally different perspective and a different mindset. And we have a really good council, by the way. I'm really pleased with the council.
How many are seated on that council?
It's actually 10 people that are on the council.
10-member council, and that's by election?
They are by election, so
okay.
two for each precinct.
Okay.
And so they're very diverse in their experiences and diverse in their mindsets and all the such. But at the end of the day, they're wanting to move Hanover forward, and they wanted to put someone in there that was willing to move forward also.
That's awesome.
Yes.
It is obvious that you are African American.
Yes, how about that?
Surprise, right? No.
Yes.
Was there? Would it be safe to say that you are the first African American?
Yes.
You are also female. Are you the first female mayor and African American?
Okay, so I'm the second female mayor.
Okay.
And the first African American mayor.
Okay.
And so when I was sworn in, one of the council members came up to me and he said, "You just made history." And I'm like, "Well, which one did I make?" And so he told me, he said, "You're the first African American."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Well, I didn't know if I was the first woman or not." But actually, there had been a woman that was mayor just prior to the last mayor that was there. So
let this sink in. Let me let this sink in. I am sitting here with the first African American mayor of Hanover, Pennsylvania. Hanover is probably dates back to founded in 1700s.
In the late 1700s.
Okay.
Yes.
And so here we are in 2018-19. You were sworn in 2018.
Right.
And we have our first African American mayor.
Yes.
Congratulations. How did that
thank
sink
you.
in? What does that mean for you?
Well, of course, I'm African American, so it didn't really mean that much to me, but it meant so much for the community, and that's the amazing thing. I mean, it was really, I had people come out, they were really excited. They were excited that I was African American and I was a female. And so there has been a long history of things that have been tied to Hanover, like the racism and some racial incidents that has occurred, and just individual incidents that people have have attached to Hanover and it's been stigmatized by that. And I think much to do with my appointment has really kind of taken a little bit off them. And I think there's almost a sense of relief with some of the people that are in the area. And the people that I'm coming in contact with, they're really looking for change in the community. And they're wanting to see it move forward. It's previously in their mindset. It's interesting. Things are changing. It really changed with the council. But now it looks like it's changing because there's someone of African American descent in there.
Have your constituents expressed to you specifically what are some of the changes that they'd like to see implemented now that you're mayor?
The funny thing is about change is that people don't really know specifically what change looks like. I mean, it's a community that has quite a few things in it. And so one of the things that they just wanted to move forward. So in the aggregate, there's probably a lot of things, but really probably couldn't put your hand on it. We just need, or put your finger on it.
Right.
But when you think of something new, or if there's something happening, like we're looking at a vibrant downtown, those are some of the initiatives that I propose.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Yes.
Your downtown.
Well,
are there businesses currently operating in downtown?
Yes. There are businesses that are operating, and it's definitely on the move. I know when I first moved to the Hanover area, that was one of the things that was really challenging for me, is I'm like, this is the downtown area. It's a beautiful space, but it's not really being utilized. And over time, over the last couple of years, we've seen some efforts to make it more uniform and make it more desirable and more aesthetically pleasing,
Sure.
to people that are coming through, because our downtown intersects 194 and 94 and 116. So we have three major state roads that are coming through.
We certainly do.
So we have a lot of traffic coming in from Maryland. We have it coming in, from the from Gettysburg.
Sure.
We have lots of people traveling in from all over the state that are coming to the area, and we want them to stop right there.
Right. So the
Yeah.
shopping district to which you've referred to earlier is not particularly in the downtown area.
No,
But it is that is a thoroughfare going to the shopping area.
yes, it is
Okay.
a thoroughfare. So we have a downtown area, and that's you traditionally we have some boutiques down in the area. We have a couple of breweries that has been really popular. So we've seen kind of a surge in traffic for those that are coming from across the state and looking to get good beer. So they're coming and they're coming
Is
to our
this a
area for
craft beer
that.
that's really, people are exploring that more? I know
Yes.
particularly here in York as
Yes.
well. So
Uh-huh.
that is a booming business.
It is a booming business, so yeah.
Wow.
So it's really good. The company, the organization is called Miss Creation, and we have something wicked. So it's a couple of them in the area that have become very popular across the state.
So tell me more about your structure, like department. Do you have departments per se, like economic development, community development, or a township supervisor that you work closely with to kind of realize some of the dreams or aspirations you have
Right.
for the city?
Right. So there is a borough manager. So we have a strong borough manager that operates. We have a full municipal building, and we have a economic development person that runs the downtown Hanover area.
Okay.
And so her job is to specifically organize the Hanover downtown efforts. And so she actually is connected with the Hanover Chamber of Commerce, but we work in collaboration with them, and so
Okay.
they manage that program. And so our city council is responsible for our public safety public safety.
Oh,
We have an
okay.
economic development committee that is ran by one of our council, our planning, zoning
Okay.
committees.
Are they
along the lines there.
the council seats? Are they 4-year terms? One term is 4 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yes.
I was just wondering the next step for you.
Yeah.
You were appointed,
Yes.
but an appointment lasts for how long for you? Until then you'll have to campaign and be
Yeah.
elected into office, correct?
Okay. Yeah, so it's very interesting here. Okay, so I was appointed on October 24th, 2018.
Okay.
And so in a municipal elections are every odd year.
Whoa.
So now I have to make a decision if I'm going to run for
and
mayor
19
now.
being an odd year.
Yes, and
Okay.
it's the odd year. Because with an appointment, you cannot hold a seat more than 2 years for an appointment.
Okay.
So if we were to have waited for an additional 2 years, then it would exceed the time frame, and so we wouldn't be able to do that. So therefore, this is the time now to make a decision.
Mayor Ojo, tell me a little bit more about the diversity in Hanover, or perhaps lack thereof. What is your African American population in numbers and Latino in your estimation?
Yeah, well, we're 93% Anglo-American.
Okay.
And we're at about 7 to 10% Latino population. According to the census, we're at 7%. I always add a little bit more with the Latino population because they're usually pretty heavy migration, into a particular area. And we're still at less than 1% African Americans.
Okay. Is there anything that you have in mind, or any thoughts on how you can become a more diverse community? Any initiatives that you have maybe put in place so far, or plan to put in place?
Right.
And how difficult is it to, after so many years of having upwards of 90%
Right.
Anglo-Saxon population,
Right.
to change that over the course of the years?
Right. one of the things that we've done, well, first of all, I'm African American, so with the month of February, I had worked with the Guthrie Library to ask them to bring in a particular speaker that's going to be there on February 20th at 6 o'clock at the Guthrie Library. And that is for Black History Month. And so we'll see. I know they do some things for children during Black History Month, but it's going to be a lecture series, so it may be one of the first ones that we've had in a very long time there.
Okay, that's awesome.
And that's just really indicative to the fact that, you know, I am African American, and Black history is not just Black history, it's everyone's history.
It certainly is.
And so it's a wonderful time to engage the community in it. I think the community is very excited about it. And it's also representative of who I am and what the community could be. And so we're gonna work hard, and we're gonna have a really good event, and it's gonna be well attended, and looking forward to it.
How can they find out more about this event? Is it on the webpage, or do you all have a webpage?
Yes, it should be on the Guthrie Library site.
Okay.
It should be some information on it. And also, I can send information out via my website page or my Facebook page, which is Mayor Myneca Ojo, if anyone's interested in it.
Okay.
I have a public presence out there, so it's actually there as well.
Okay, and we'll flash that on the
information.
screen. We can make that magically appear.
Oh, okay, then. Thank you very much.
You're
And I'll send you some information also.
All right.
Would love for you to
And
come.
while you're giving your information, I hate to do a pop quiz because sometimes I can't remember my
That's
office
okay.
number, but is there an office number that someone could call in also to ask more questions, maybe pertaining to what they've seen today?
Okay, so I don't have the library number because the library is the one
But
that's
to your
actually
office,
sponsored.
for
Yes, you can contact me at 717-637-3877, and they'll pop you right into my voicemail.
that is awesome.
Yes.
Okay. At the top of the show, in the introduction, I did mention about you were the one that filmed the incident on the Grandview Golf Course.
Yes.
And literally, it was the video that went around the world. It went viral. And this was an incident of alleged discrimination, different treatment based on perhaps gender and race. Is that correct? So let me tell you where I was. It's one of those moments where people, it's like my mom may remember where she was when President Kennedy was assassinated, or where Dr. King was shot. I remember where I was when I heard the news or saw you all on television. I was in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, and it popped up, York, Pennsylvania, and I turned and looked at the television screen.
Oh my!
We were on a cruise, and I believe it was April the 21st or 22nd.
It was 21st.
The 21st.
Yes.
And I am in my cabin listening to headline news. And I look at the screen and I see women that I recognize and know. At least 4 of the 5 of you.
Right.
Because I had never seen you before. But I knew the other 4, and I could not believe my eyes. I could not believe my ears. Tell me, how did things transpire? I'm sure mostly everyone knows about the incident to which I'm referring to, but for those that don't, do you mind sharing with us what had occurred on that day?
Yeah, I'll share it broadly because I promise not to speak for the other 4 women.
Understood.
But I'll definitely speak about it. I play with a group called Sisters in the Fairway, and it's a group of women, professional women in the York area. We've played for 8 years together. And so April 21st was the opening day for the women. We had all purchased memberships to the Grandview Golf Course, and we were really excited about playing. And so we all got to the course. We're all happy and lucky. The course, the the manager, well, it wasn't the manager, but the golf pro told us it was going to be a 45-minute delay because there was a group ahead of us that were playing in a tournament, and they were just finishing up, and they started late because, and they couldn't get out there because there was a frost delay. Okay, so if you golf, if you play early, it's usually typically frost. So we all hung out, and we had a good time, and we took pictures, and just waited to to prepare to go on the course. So we all went out. Typically there's 4, but they allowed us to play with 5, and we went out to hole 1, and we hit on hole 1, and then we moved to hole 2. And as we moved to hole 2, we saw this man walking across the course, and he came to myself and Karen and said, you all need to speed it up. And first of all, it's not protocol for anyone to walk across a course. That's not protocol. Without a club in their hand or on a court, and he wasn't a marshal of any such, and this gentleman has been identified later to me as Steve Chronister, and I guess he was a former county commissioner here, so I didn't know who he was, but Karen eventually told me who he was, and he told us to move forward, and we were just kind of taken back because we're golfers. We're 10 plus years. All of us are golfers. So we're like how is he making that assumption about us? Yeah. And then later we moved and hit our ball, and I moved to the other side to hit my ball with me and Karen because we were playing together, and then we saw him walking back out. And he was approaching Sandra Thompson and Carolyn and Sandra Harrison. And so Sandra Thompson walked up to him and had a conversation with him. And Karen and myself continued to play through. Sandra Harrison and Carolyn continued to play through as well. And then Sandra Thompson came behind us. And she said, well, he said we're moving too slow, and he offered us a refund. I'm like, what? I mean, we're on the second hole. Yeah. And so we decided to skip hole 3 and just go ahead and play through. And so we were all pretty shaken up because golf is a game in the head. It's a mental game. Yes. So you really have to be really mentally prepared to play. And I was and it was our outing. We were just really excited to be there. And we were playing really good. And so we ended up coming back to the 9th hole, and most of the girls said, well, I'm not going to play. And me and Sandra Thompson said, well, we'll go ahead and play. So we all went to the car. I took Karen to her car, and I took the card, and she took her clubs off, and Sandra, followed me, and then Carolyn and Sandra Harrison put their card away and clubs and everything. We said our goodbyes, and as Sandra and myself were walking toward hole 10 to play, because we're at the turn. The turn is usually by the clubhouse. We had passed these 5 men that were just drinking. We didn't know who they were or or anything. And then they all came and approached us, and they're like, well, you can't play. I'm like, excuse me? They're like, well, you can't play. You took too long. We were timing you. And so there's these 5 guys, and I'm almost 6 feet tall myself, but they were all very much taller than me. And then they just kind of swarmed us and surrounded us. And then, then that's when I pulled out the camera and started taping, because I'm like, no, it's something going down here. And so at that time, we got into a discussion. The police was called, and they came out, and they took a statement, and then Sandra also taped as well. Yeah.
With that, all of that happening, and then you left the course.
I'm sorry. Before then, they were offering, we want to give you all your members the money back, and we don't want you to be a part of the course, and you don't want you to be members anymore. And they kept running in and out. One of them, it was total pandemonium. They were running. One of the guys was running in, getting a check. Steve Chronister was yelling. Jordan Chronister was in our face. I guess that's his son. He's identified as the son. So it was extremely threatening. It was very hostile. And I will tell you, and I will say this, and I'll definitely say it for me, and maybe could speak that if it hadn't have been for the type of women that we are, and the age of us, and the understanding of what was really going on, it could have been a really bad situation.
And what do can you expound on what you mean by the type of women that you are?
I'm a director of diversity, so I immediately recognized that there were some things that were going on, and this is, this is escalating from the microaggressions where he actually came out and asserted a certain type of behavior toward us to imply that we were playing slow. It's virtually impossible by any golf standards to determine that someone is golfing slow by the second hole. That it's virtually impossible, and you can ask any professional, and there is no way that you can do that.
And you've been golfing for how many?
I've been golfing for 10, well over 10 years.
Wow.
And the other ladies have been golfing way longer than myself. And we've golfed all over the world. So, we've golfed in many places. So we understand the protocols, because 60% of it's protocols, 40% of it's to play, but the protocols, you understand the protocols. It was virtually impossible. So we knew at that point something was going down, but we're like, no, we're not going to let them do it. We're members of the course. We're members. We were excited. We were there just 3 weeks prior, having our dinner with the ladies, our opening dinner.
Right.
Yeah, we were there planning on, where we were going to play, and we had great hopes for that course. We had great hopes in contributing and, being a part of it and having outings there and having events there. We just really had great hopes, because that course has a historical significance.
Yes.
And Karen Crosby's, and she will speak of this. She will talk about how her father was able to play golf there years ago when the other courses were segregated. Grandview was the course that allowed African Americans to come out and play. Yeah, and they were one of the first ones to integrate their course. And so, so there was a history with that as well. And I do have to say, the guys that we met, the Chronisters and their partners, they're brand new partners. So we were not aware of them. We're certainly aware of them now, and the dynamics, in the course now. So it's a different course.
The microaggression that actually in your mind had escalated, is that what prompted you to pull out your phone and begin to record?
That's a macroaggression. So the microaggression is when someone assumes that you are a certain way because because it's attributed to us towards a certain bias. So we were fully aware that when they initially approached us and said that we were too slow, that was probably and perhaps attributed to the fact that we were African American and female. And had we been any of those, along with other people like males or maybe even persons not of color, it may have not have been a big deal. But because it was 5 of us, I'm assuming that it was a big deal. The macroaggression is when we were surrounded, and there were several factors playing into it. There was a lot of confirmation bias. There was 5 men, and they were all kind of jumping in, into a group and surrounding, the 2 of us. Yeah, so really,
And then is that why you chose to, the threat of it all, and you wanted to really get this documented?
Yes, I said, no, this is it. So I had my phone. There was, we had already played an hour and 45 minutes. My phone was partially dead, so there was no phone, so it didn't stay charged long. And then Sandra took the second video. And so afterwards, came back. We were just wholly upset about what had happened. One of the there were some guys that were playing behind us that had seen the whole entire situation, and they passed me the number. He passed me his telephone number, and we called him. He said, "Whatever you need, I will testify. I played behind you the whole time. I saw the whole incident.
And in fact, the one gentleman did show and did testify during the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission hearing correctly.
Yes.
Right. And I was there present during that, and I thought it was such a powerful testimony.
It was powerful.
And he seemed very credible.
Right.
And it was
even more than we even knew. Yeah.
Because he was looking at it from his
Right.
point of view and seeing perhaps the things that you weren't
Right.
seeing, and
Right.
maybe his perceptions of things as well.
It was something. And so the police was called, but we didn't realize at the time they had been called prior to them coming out for myself and Sandra. They had called the police on us.
And
on the
at
fifth
this
hole.
time, there were no threats lodged to the owners by you all, or any type of aggression that may have perceived as danger or anything like that.
No.
So were you pretty surprised that the police had been called, and maybe you're wondering, why are the police called by this time?
Well, at that time, the police, he said the authorities were coming. We were, first of all, we were, trying to save the membership. We're like, well, what's going on here? This is, what we wanted to do, and we complied. We don't understand what's going on, and all they wanted was to get us off the course, and I'm not sure why. And I will tell you, if you're ever enthralled in a situation like that, it's very, very scary, because you really don't know how to really move out of something like that. So it was a very fearful situation, and I think over time it became more fearful as to how much danger we were really in, as all the details came into play. Like, we didn't really know the police had been called twice out there. And so the police had been called. They actually came out to the hole that we were on playing as a group earlier, and did not approach us. No one approached us, but they came out and saw that we were playing and said, I guess they're okay. So I guess Steve Chronister said that they were okay. This is according to the police report. And then they decided to just move back. So I'm like, what police officer would come out on a call, because someone is playing slow, or because of the fact that they thought it was something going on? He felt threatened. We were there. There was nothing said to him. He actually approached us. He wanted us off the course.
There's a narrative now, and has occurred for many years, golfing while black. Sitting at Starbucks while black, Airbnb while black, participating in a cookout while black. Quite often when I hear that, and it may be a catchphrase to some, but it's a reality, daily reality for African Americans, unfortunately, and other people of color. But when you hear the Sisters of the Fairway included in that narrative, and the fact that people around the world were talking about this, Trevor Noah, John Legend, what went through your mind when this whole video went viral?
Well, how the video became viral is because I posted on Facebook and posted
I post videos on Facebook all the time. None of mine went viral yet. So, but
and someone asked me to make it public, and somehow or another, it it just caught fire. So I'm not sure how it happened, but
what went through your mind? Was it? Did you feel kind of in shock that everybody knows your name and knows this incident, or did it feel like everyone knew what happened, and did you feel like you were in danger at any point?
I don't know about the danger part. You're very private. Usually, I had to, protect my employment and, disclose the incident to the management of the job that I work with, and, the uncomfort level of people, knowing what happened but not mentioning it. It was a lot of awkward moments with that, in terms of work and what their perception is, and what their perception are. And just really people in general, they must have done something to have this happen to them. I mean, in a rationalized way, if you're reasoning or rationalizing in any situation, you're like, what did they do to cause this type of reaction? And it was absolutely nothing.
Right.
It was absolutely nothing.
Right.
And if you know the 5 women that are involved in this situation, these are all very professional women. They're golfers. We have a reputation. We have played all over York County, and we've played for many years with tournaments all over the place. So we're pretty well known, and there's even it's a community that's been around for a very long time. So this is like, we don't start trouble, and we're not trouble, but we're the last troublemakers, and we're all in professional positions. Carolyn works for the federal government. I work for the state. We have certain ethic clauses that we all have, so we can't be just going loose and getting with people. And it's just it wasn't necessary for us to do that, because we immediately knew what was happening.
Yeah.
If you immediately know what is happening and you understand the dynamics of it, you're looking at how do you get out of this. And our first thing was, really honestly, we need to protect this membership because we want to come here. But clearly that was off the table the minute they approached us the first time.
Where is it all now? Is it currently being investigated, the case? And I know you can't speak of the other ladies involved, but your allegations in particular, is that with the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
and we're moving forward.
And you're moving forward.
Yes.
Okay. So this isn't something that's just go quietly away. It's actively being moved forward and investigated.
Absolutely.
And
because
so
this type of behavior needs to be averted and needs to not be a part of our society. And if we're going to move forward as a nation, if we're going to move forward as a state, as a county, or even a borough or city that we live in, it has to be known that it's not going to be tolerated. And so if I'm doing everything that I can to be a good citizen to where I live, then everyone needs to be participating. Everyone needs to treat people with dignity and respect, and that should be mandatory.
I appreciate you sharing that with me. I can imagine that it was a difficult space to be in at that time, a difficult situation, scary as you could, as you described. As I watched the video, I felt afraid. I felt the intensity of it all. And I do want to say this, is that having gone through that and looked at the what you all had gone through, also the trolls on social media and people siding with whoever, and it's all of the ups and downs. You all have bared it gracefully, and it so much has fallen on your shoulders to. You have to still live life. You must still live life. And I must say that you are my hero, my shero. You are, as well as the other ladies. And I applaud you all for just having the tenacity to go ahead and move forward. I had worked as an investigator in unlawful discrimination and have talked to many complainants, whether it's discrimination in housing, employment, public accommodations. The one thing that I see that all the complainants that I've had talked to, the commonality was that they feel fearful in a sense that there may be some type of retaliation. There may be some type of backlash, especially when there's employment or housing. Housing is such a basic need. And if they are in fear that that's going to be taken away from them, or their livelihood will be taken away from them, but this is in a space for you all, public accommodations, and you're right to just enjoy the space as any other member would. That as you allege, was taken away from you. So again, it is. People say, "Oh, I would fight him," but until you're faced in that situation, it is something that takes a lot of courage.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And as you well know, in your previous position and in doing the investigations, that public accommodation is a freedom to enjoy and to recreate and to, just have the right to pursue whatever type of happiness that you have. And golf golf is still a pleasure of ours. It's our way to release. It's it's the enjoyment of all the ladies. And in terms of retaliation, we were concerned. We were very concerned. We didn't play in the area for a very long time. We didn't, and we're still not really playing. And so we've played in a tournament that we felt to be a friendly space in New York. And we've played in a couple of tournaments, but we only played with the brother team, which is the York County Black Golfers Association, in their tournament. So we've not played alone since the incident. And that's the part that saddens us the most, because that part was taken away from us. So it's a little different from workplace. You file a complaint and then you have to go work for that supervisor and fear retribution and retaliation, or housing when you turn in your supervisor and then you have to do to the housing. This impacted us in terms of our recreation, our ability to really enjoy the area that we live in, because this is York County and this is where we recreate and where we live, where we pay our taxes. We want to be able to enjoy the things that are here. So in that respect, yes, it has limited what we were able to do here.
Well, I certainly hope you ladies are made whole. I hope that there's restoration, that you could come to a place that, you can move forward and feel comfortable to be able to golf while black. And that, that there won't be that looming fear or discomfort when trying to just enjoy a game of golf.
So let me tell you about that, because that's really interesting. Because for that one incident, we may have had 200 people come to us in full support of us and full support of being able to enjoy the community. So we've had a really positive response from York County, really just from all over the country. People are tired. This county is tired. The city is tired of the discrimination
and that's from black and white people.
This is primarily primarily from persons not of color. We've gotten tremendous support. It's outrageous. It's crazy. I mean, they've given us this level that no, this is not what we want to be known as, and this is not the York County that we want to be. And so if I parlay that into and intersect what happened at the golf course into what's happened, with my becoming mayor of Hanover, it's the same type of mentality, and it's the same type of we need to move forward. And I think that we're moving in that direction. People are really tired. And people, I urge you to fight back when you see microaggressions, macroaggressions. Speak up. Speak up on behalf of the person that is being discriminated against, and that speaks volumes when there's jokes that are being lodged at your workplace. Cast that down and say, hey, not here, not here in the workplace. Speak up, and I think when we all do that, I think that we'll be really fighting against racism, discrimination, and I think that will absolutely propel us in the direction that we need to be. On that note, I do want to say thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really enjoyed our conversation. I look forward to great things from you and from the Borough of Hanover. I feel like I know a little bit more about Hanover. I want to keep in mind the activities that are coming up, particularly Black History Month. Visit Hanover a little bit more. Maybe you could take us on a tour. I'd be happy to do that. Yes, we're a very loving, charitable community, very neighbor-focused and people-focused, and I think you would be pleasantly surprised as to how accepting you would be if you were to come there. It's really a good community.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining me this evening, and with my guest, Mayor of Hanover Borough, Myneca Ojo. Stay tuned for more. You can find me on Facebook, Black Perspectives with Lady T. You can also find me on YouTube, Black Perspectives, that's with an S, with Lady T. And please like and subscribe to my page. I need more subscribers. Also visit my webpage, that's Black Perspectives with Lady T at Weebly.com. If I don't have that correctly, I'll put the right web address on the screen. But again, thank you, and you all have a good day. Bye-bye.